All right, multiplication was created as a shortcut for addition because otherwise we would have to multiply add 76 4 times or add 4 76 times. Obviously there's a much shorter way, so let's go through the multiplication process. All right, so to actually do the multiplication, we need to make sure that we multiply 4 by both 6 and then 7, later with larger questions we'll have to combine the results, but here we don't need to. So starting the multiplication process, we got 6 times 4, which is 24, and 4 times 7, which is 28, and to 28 we add 2 to make 30, and there it is, 304. Just one note. You notice I crossed out my carry after it was used. With more complicated multiplications, you'll see that this helps you to avoid unnecessarily adding it extra times. So as we step up one level of difficulty, I guess, what we're doing is we're multiplying 76 by 34, right? And to do that, what I need to make sure I do is that I again multiply 4 by 6 and 7, and then I also multiply by 3 by 6 and 7, and the result of those two things I'm going to add up. Okay, and here's an interesting way to look at this. First, what I'm doing is I'm multiplying by 4, and second, after that, once I'm done multiplying by 4, I'm then actually multiplying by 3 or 30. Notice how the 3's over there in the tens column, and you probably remember at some point how you have to put your 0 or placeholder down here. Well, that's the reason for it. So, as we do the multiplication, just like before, 4 times 6, 24, 4 times 7, 28, add 2 to get 30, and cross out the carry so I don't accidentally add it again. And you'll see right here, 3 times 6 is going to make 18. Don't forget my 0 placeholder down there. 3 times 7 is 21, and add one more is 22. And so I multiplied by 4, then I multiplied by 30, okay, or 3, depends how you look at it. And what I was left with was 2 sets of numbers that now need to be added together, so I see what the total is when multiplying by 34. So add them up. 4, 8, 5, and 2. Nothing carried, and there's the final result. We add another level of complexity because now we have to multiply by 3, 6 or 60, and 4 or 400, which means that we're actually going to end up with 1, 2, 3 numbers down here that we have to add together. Because in the first step we're multiplying by 3, there's no placeholder. In the second step, when we're multiplying by 6/60, we need a single placeholder, and when we're multiplying by 4/400, we're going to need 2 placeholders before we add everything up. So let's see what that looks like. All right, first multiplying by 3, we've got our 3 is going to get multiplied by 5, 2, and 3. 3 times 5, 15. 3 times 2 is 6. Add 1 is 7. 3 times 3 is 9. Now we are multiplying by 6, and again it has to get multiplied by all 3 numbers. 6 times 5, 30, and the placeholders go in there. 6 times 5 was 30. 6 times 2 is 12. Add 3 is 15. 6 times 3 is 18. Add 1 is 19. And now we're going to be multiplying by 400. So now 2 placeholders. And 4 gets multiplied again by all 3 numbers. 4 times 5, 20. 4 times 2 is 8. Add 2 is 10. And 4 times 3 is 12. Add 1 is 13. And we're going to add up each of the parts. So we've got 5, 7, 9 plus 5 is 14, 9 plus 1 is 10, 3 and 2 is 5, and 1. So we've got 150,475. The last thing that we'll look at in multiplication is multiplying with decimals. So it's the exact same process as whole numbers, and you'll notice it's a bit different than adding and subtracting, where your decimal points don't have to add up like they did before, right? In fact, what I'm going to suggest is that you even go as far as not including those decimal places in your multiplication. So the two numbers we were multiplying were 82.47. We're multiplying that by 1.5. And what we look at is a total of 3 numbers behind the decimal place in the question. We set it up then like a normal multiplication. And what we'll do is we'll put those decimal places back in at the end. I think that makes your life a little bit easier. So the normal multiplication, 5 times 7, 35. 5 times 4 is 20, add 3, 23. 5 times 2 is 10, and 12. 5 times 8 is 40, add 1 is 41. We're now multiplying by the 10, so we put our placeholder in. And 1 times anything is pretty easy to do. 1 times 7, 1 times 4, 1 times 2, 1 times 8. You can just copy the number in. And what we're doing now is adding those two results together. So we've got 5. 3 and 7 makes 10. 4 and 2 is 8 plus 1 is 9. 3 and 12. And we're almost done. So let's just clean up these numbers a bit. There we go. And the last thing we needed to think about was, well, what are we doing with these decimal places? Because this is about 82 times 1.5. Right, or something like that. And if we were to do that, it would be about, 160 would be double 80, and 80 times 1 would be 80, so it's somewhere in between there. But what we have as our result is 123,905, so we're missing something because we haven't put those decimal places back in. So what we need to do is go back to the original question. We've got a 4, a 7, and a 5. Well, it doesn't matter the numbers. We have 3 digits behind the decimal place in the question. So guess what we do? 1, 2, 3 digits behind the decimal place will happen in the answer. And therefore, we are equal to 123.905, which is much closer to our estimate that was somewhere between 82 and 164, right? So there's the result.